It is 6:30 and I would like to call this meeting to order. And before we do anything else, can we give those amazingly talented students another round of applause? And are there any parents here of these fine students? Can you stand up and we can thank you for sharing them with us tonight? Thank you so much. I should have asked you to stay standing because I would ask everybody to please rise and we will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by our performers. And that will be followed by a moment of silence to honor the memory of Horizon High School teacher Robert Swoverland, who has been an employee with our district since 2005. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. May I have roll call, please?
Mr. Pantera,
Here.
Mrs. Case,
Here.
Mrs. Greenberg,
Here.
Mrs. Baker,
Here.
Mrs. Christensen.
Here.
Thank you. You also will notice we have two other individuals up here. And these are our newly elected board members who will be joining us officially next year, but they're here shadowing, I guess, for the meeting. And I'd like to welcome Dr. Amanda Lim and Jessica Wani. So next on the agenda is approval of agenda. Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you to President Greenberg, Governing Board, Cabinet, and guests. Items approved by consent will not come up for discussion during the meeting, but will be approved when the agenda is adopted. This is possible since members of the Governing Board receive the agenda along with backup materials at least 24 hours prior to the meeting and have had time to review and consider all items. Prior to the agenda being adopted, members of the Governing Board may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and brought to the floor for discussion at the appropriate place on the agenda. Any member of the audience who submitted a blue public comment card prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized to speak on the agenda item under items for approval. President Greenberg, I would like to offer the agenda as posted.
Thank you very much. Prior to the meeting, we received no blue public comment cards, so no member of the audience is asked to move anything from the consent agenda. Does any member of the governing board wish to have an item removed from consent? Seeing none, Mrs. Baker, may I have a motion to approve the meeting agenda and recommended consent agenda items?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on our agenda is governing board statements. Obviously, as the last meeting of the year, we all have, I think, something to say, but I will see Mr. Pantera. Do you have?
Thank you, President Greenberg. Welcome, everyone. Happy holidays. Whatever you celebrate, I hope it's a joyous time for you. It was really great to hear the musicians from Mountain Trails. That's in my neighborhood, so it's nice to know we have that kind of talent so close by. It's very exciting to see them. When I was a student in elementary school, I played the old licorice stick. I can't tell you how many reeds I split, so I gave that up shortly thereafter. Today, I had the pleasure of visiting the Ridge, Eagle Ridge. Got to be there this morning for a spelling bee. I was one of the judges for a spelling bee competition. Yeah, if you knew me, you'd know how surprising that might be. I thought, well, it must be like an honorific. You know, you show up and, well, we've got a board member there. No, they put me to work. There's lists you have to look at. There's things you have to write down. And it was very interesting and very rewarding, especially the parts because, you know, they're trying to spell these words, but they have to sometimes be given parameters, like it's a homonym, or they can use a definition or use it in a sentence, and there's rules about how these are done. I found it very fascinating, because if they say, oh, spell night, well, which one? Like the one on shining armor, or is it nighttime outside? It's not just all phonics. You got to know what they mean and how to use them. It was great, and I really liked it. I hope they invite me again. Maybe they'll let me ring the bell this time. That little bell out there. I was good. On a personal note, I'm really excited. You know how I'm always trying to say, hey, get more kids in the district. Come on, bring them on. We need more students. Well, I'm having one come to the district. Seems out my granddaughter Matilda, she's going to be moving here into the district soon. Hopefully going to Sandpiper, right? The dual Spanish immersion class. So I'm very excited about that. It's like my big holiday gift for me. It's a great district. I've been enjoying it. I hope we see more and more kids come. I've done my part. Now it's all your turn to bring some in. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Pantera. Mrs. Christensen?
Good evening, everyone. First off, I want to congratulate our new governing board members and welcome them on the dais with us today. We're glad you're here. And as I want to piggyback off of a couple of Mr. Pantera's comments. I was a clarinet player and I used to break some reeds myself. So I really appreciate all of the musicians that come to play for us before the board meetings. It really warms my heart. Welcome to all the family and friends of the new board members, as well as parents, educators, and constituents who are here at this board meeting today. I also had the privilege of being a judge at the Pinnacle Peak Prep Spelling Bee, and I did get to ring the bell. So I'm so proud of all the students who participated and grateful that in a world of spell check, AI, autocorrect, and texting via crazy acronyms that we still have great spellers in our district. So kudos to the teachers that really are educating our students. And I would like to thank Mrs. Estrada, who was my son's favorite elementary school teacher that invited me to be a judge. As I was exiting, I sent a picture with her and myself to my college kid, and he immediately FaceTimed me and he wanted to say hello. And so I had to walk back in, and he was able to say hello to her and some staff members. And this is just a testament to the impact that our great teachers leave on our students. And so, kudos to all our educators, and, even in college, they remember you and they appreciate you. So I thought that was really neat. Finally, I would just like to thank Mrs. Baker and Mrs. Case for their service. And I've really loved getting to know both of you. And while we don't always agree on everything, I feel like we've really learned a lot. And I think we learn a lot when we have differing views and opinions. So I really appreciate your service on the board. And congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Mrs. Christensen. Mrs. Baker?
Mr. Pantera, I brought 6 kids to the district, so I did my part as well. I didn't write anything out because I just couldn't find the words. First of all, welcome everyone to our final meeting of the year. I missed the last 2 meetings. I've been out of town. I have been traveling to, while I might not be serving educators and students in this district, I am still serving educators and students across the state. And so I was in DC and St. Louis really working on things that we could bring here to help students and teachers. I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve. I thank each and every person who has reached out, who answered my questions, who took me on tours of the schools, who invited me places. It's just been a really wonderful experience, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Welcome to the new board members. And Mrs. Case, you were incredible. You have taught me so much in just my 2 years, and You've really left your mark. So thank you. Our new board, I'm sure, will lead with our most vulnerable students in mind, just as we have. And I'm sure they will make the best decisions possible as we move forward into 2025. And I'm excited to see what they do. And I'm like I said, I'm really grateful, and I'm really sad this is my last meeting, but it was truly an honor to serve. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Baker. Mrs. Case?
This is different. I don't quite know. A lot of emotions going on here. First off, I want to speak about last week we had PV Voice, and it was wonderful. It's one of my favorite things that we do in our district. I got to be part of the board that started PV Voice, and that was a really good thing that we did. We were speaking about the AI parameters in the future and trying to put yourself in the future with some of these things and what parameters the district should have was really quite interesting. And the ability of our students to express themselves was very evident. Our future will be bright with these students as our leaders. Secondly, I want to correct any wrong impression I might have left with my previous comments about the processes with which we choose vendors and contractors. We use the same processes which most of the school districts in Arizona use. In fact, we often procure the new vendors and contractors and lead the way in this process. I want to say I have complete confidence in Jill Berrigan and in the integrity with which she and her team select vendors and contractors. We are very fortunate to have someone as capable and honest as she is over finance. We also are fortunate to have Dr. Drew Davis over facilities and construction. I have known Dr. Davis for many years, and he is a man of integrity and ability. So I felt after the board meeting last time that I had left the wrong impression, and I wanted to make sure that people understood that the process was not what it was the process, it wasn't the people. We have amazing people in this district, and I have full faith in their honesty and in their integrity. So, with that said, yes, I can admit when I'm wrong, when I say something wrong. I have very mixed emotions about ending my time on the board. In some ways, I'm giddy, and in other ways, I'm very sad because this is a chapter in my life which has, well, I thought I'll just read what I have. In many ways, I have grown up with the amazing staff in PV Schools District. Our oldest child started kindergarten at Village Vista in the fall of 1984. That's 40 years ago. Our youngest graduated from PV High School May of 2017. So for 33 years, I had children attending school in PV School District. I was the mom who volunteered in the classroom helping children learn how to read. I never Xeroxed, not my thing. In the process of helping, I learned to spell. I'll never forget the time when I was 32 or 33, I called my mom and said, "Mom, I know how to spell." And she was in shock and she couldn't believe it. And I had been helping in the classrooms, and I learned I am not a sight speller like my husband is. I am a logic speller, and I had learned all those rules and parts of that. So truly, I have grown up in this district. The teachers in this district have become mentors and friends to myself and to my children. Started in 1987, we started to have a teacher appreciation dinner in our home every spring. Through this tradition, we got to know the teachers even more. And so because we have 7 children, it got busy. And in high school, you could choose 2. And when they were a senior, they could have the principal over, or in 6th grade, they could have the principal over also if they wanted to. And we got to choose the teacher that our children got to choose who they would have from high school. And then one year we even had the PE teacher that we loved from the elementary school. And through this process, we got to love and understand the depth of who these teachers and administrators were. And we have become friends with them. And they have mentored our children, and they have mentored me. And it's the teachers who have made the difference. It's empty. And so our children have been profoundly impacted in this district. And at some point, for 10 years, I started attending school board meetings. And I attended school board meetings for 10 years. And finally, Susie Waldron convinced me to run for the school board. And with that, thank you. And with that, I have learned a great deal. And then 21 years ago, I decided to run for the school board. And what a process it has been. At some point, Susie Waldron told Sue Skidmore, she doesn't know anything, you're going to have to teach her. And I became a willing student. And I can't tell you the number of times I'd be driving home from a school board meeting and Sue would call me or I would call her and she'd say, really? Could you not have prepared your remarks so you didn't repeat yourself? Or you did a really good job on this part, but you forgot to say this and this. And so through the years, I have been mentored by someone who cares about children more than herself. And I really appreciate it. And when she retired from the school board, it was during COVID. And I had many plans for her retirement, which were not fulfilled. So, and yes, I still owe you pajamas. I am aware of that. And so the school board has given me an opportunity to see how public education blesses the lives of the children from all social economic things. I was that child, like these kids were up here, who if they wanted music lessons, you had to get it in the public school. I played the clarinet. And I would have never had that opportunity without public education. We couldn't afford private lessons. And public education became something which I became an advocate for. I have a friend who has 6 children. She lived by Indian Bend. She couldn't afford, they had 1 car. She couldn't drive her children to a charter school. They had to get to school, the closest one by them. And then when they went to middle school and high school, they had to take a bus. They didn't have a car to get to education, and her family has become successful. So there were a couple reasons I got on the school board. One was to try to get us back to having a better phonics system. There had been a national swing across the district, and we had left phonics behind. So, and then it swung back, but the publishers didn't catch up for years and years. And this district has worked really hard to come back to a better system. And I'm very excited with the possibilities that are there now. Also, I believe our founders, who I have a great love of, wanted the public to be educated. And to do that, they needed public education where everyone was treated equally. And I believe one of my reasons for running for the school board is I thought because I had the time and the ability, I should run for public office and be on the school board because I felt like the founders taught that we needed to serve in the public any way we can. And so it's an unpaid job that actually costs you money to be on the school board. And, you know, signs cost a lot of money. And so through the years, my oldest child would help pick up the signs and say, "My goodness, Mom, you look," the second time around, "Man, you look 4 years younger in these pictures." And then the next election, "Mom, you look 8 years younger in these pictures." Be quiet, I know. And then, "You look 12 years younger in these pictures," because I use the same signs over and over again. So anyway, so many memories, so much support from my family. It has been, we talk about the Paradise Valley family, and you truly have been a family to me. I appreciate the love and concern you have shown me, the grace that you have forgiven me for my mistakes, your acceptance of me always talking about Spalding, your desire to seek for excellence. This district is amazing. I appreciate the superintendents, which I have gotten to know and to work with, the ones we have hired and the ones we want to stay here. And we have wonderful people who have chosen this district for a reason. And I just appreciate the opportunity and the honor it has been to serve in this capacity. So, and I can't get away from saying my thanks to my husband, if he will stand up. Art Case. What's that? And he has served me. We had, shock to me, 5 of our 7 children flew in today none of them live in Arizona, flew in today and they were here for the reception earlier. Very kind of them. And so we have some pictures I want to show you. This is what our family looked like when I started on the board. Actually, it's a year and a half after. When I started on the board, we had 2 grandchildren, the red-headed one and the little girl with the brown hair on the side. The one in the orange shirt is our youngest daughter. We have 7 children who've gone through this district. And so, but that's the closest picture I could get to when I started on the board. If you can go to the next picture. This is our family now. And it's not even up to date because our youngest grandchild, our 32nd grandchild, was born yesterday. And this was taken last spring. And our oldest granddaughter in the wedding dress was couldn't get to when we took the family picture. She got there 5 hours later. And then the granddaughter in the corner with the red hair was serving a mission. So this picture was all these people is our whole family up until yesterday, and now there's a new grandbaby. So our 32nd grandchild was born, and my family has been wonderful. And I mentioned in the meeting in the other room, the reception, that my children, they thought it was kind of cool when I left for school board meetings because they didn't do their homework while I was gone. They didn't practice the piano while I was gone. It was just like freebie time without their mom there. So it wasn't always such a sacrifice on their part. They kind of liked it. But anyway, I just appreciate my husband and my children for supporting me all these years and for all the opportunities I've had to come to know this school district. So thank you for allowing me to give my thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's my turn. I have some remarks. Before I get to those, I want to say thank you all for being here. Happy holidays. We'll say that again. I guess I'm not the only non-clarinet woodwind player. I was trumpet, so I would have been right over there in that performance. Also want to give a shout. I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know if anybody's here, but between the last board meeting and this, Desert Shadows Middle School celebrated its 50-year celebration, and I was able to get over there for that, and it was amazing. And probably one of the most incredible things about it was how many alumni students and teachers came back for it, and got the chance to meet Ian Dennis's mom, who used to be the PE teacher there and whose name is on the middle school festival sports awards. But it was just such a brilliant coming together of community over at Desert Shadows. I know the night before, Sonoran Sky celebrated its 30 year. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But from what I could tell, it was an equally fantastic celebration. So it's just amazing to see how our communities grow and continue to come together like that. I do want to say, so, when you sit in the middle seat, point of personal privilege, and you get to finish up the remarks. And so as we hit this last board meeting of the calendar year and we turn the page on this year, we are obviously saying goodbye to two of our colleagues. And Carrie, I want to thank you for your unwavering commitment to all of our students, our teachers, our staff, and our families. Being able to bring your experience and lens as a teacher to your work on the board has been a boon for us all. And it's not easy to step into a shortened term on any board, let alone one to which you must be elected before you get here. But you did so with intense preparation and dedication and determination, and your leadership was instantly felt. And although you are leaving your service on this board, I know, as you said, you will still be focused on advocating for students and teachers and families in Arizona, and we will all be better for it. Nancy, how does one compress 20 years into any adequate thank you for all you have done for our district? When you and I ran for the board back then, we really didn't know each other, despite, we all previously attended board meetings. We were all out there together. We worked on a number of ventures in PV, but we really didn't know each other. And I remember walking into our onboarding session with John Creekard and just being fascinated by your experiences and your knowledge of so much about the district, given how many years you had already spent volunteering in your kids' classrooms and all the other things you'd been involved in. But it was then, as it is now, your absolute devotion to this district and to wanting to make sure that every child not just learns to read, but learns to love reading for their lifetime that completely captivated me. That you would plunge into the point that you led classes in the summer and worked with students to help them on their roads to reading shows a passion that remains unparalleled. Now, you and I have had many a conversation over the year, and we both know there are several topics that we don't agree on. But I think the one that has always united us is our support for public education. And that's often been a beacon when we've had to deal with lean budgets and lack of legislative support, and it has been appreciated more than you will know. I honestly don't know what it's going to be like walking in here into the boardroom next year and not seeing you up here, especially knowing that means you will be off traveling more than you do now. But I want to thank you for giving this district all you have. And it's been an honor to serve with you, my friend. Thank you. And with that, next on our agenda is awards and recognitions. Dr. Reynolds.
Good evening, President Case, Good evening, President Greenberg. My apologies. Thank you for your service, Mrs. Case. Good evening, President Greenberg, governing board members, members of cabinet, and attendees both in person and virtual. Tonight, we have 5 recognitions to share with you. This evening, we'll be inviting our honorees to the front of the room for a photo. Our first honoree was selected as the recipient of the 2024 Distinguished Service Outside of the Profession Outstanding Administrator Award, presented by the Arizona Art Education Association. This principal has been dedicated to the education of children for over 25 years. With a deep commitment to the arts, she has supported a variety of learning opportunities and environments in elementary programs. Currently, in her 8th year as an administrator, she's passionate about fostering personal and professional growth among students and staff, striving to create an atmosphere where creativity and achievement thrive. From Liberty Elementary School, please help me welcome Principal Jennifer Penoyer. Our next recipient was named the North Region's Arizona Thespians Teacher of the Year. This award is given annually to a teacher who demonstrates exceptional courage and devotion to the performing arts program within a school. It's a prestigious honor that recognizes the best of the best within our ranks. In order to receive this award, the recipient must demonstrate leadership, character, and promote the arts. This year's recipient could not be in attendance this evening, but still we'd like to congratulate drama teacher from Horizon High School, Brenda Botras. Our next recognition is the recipient of the Paradise Valley Education Association's Recognition of Professional Standards Award for Teachers. The honoree this evening will be introduced by Ms. Heather Schmidt, PVEA President.
Good evening, President Greenberg, Dr. Reynolds, Governing Board, Cabinet. Thank you for having us. My name is Heather Schmidt. I'm proud to serve as the president of the Paradise Valley Education Association, which represents our certified employees. Once a month, I get to recognize one of our folks by giving them their props, which stands for Professionals Recognizing Other Professionals' Successes. This evening, I am honored to recognize Leticia Chait, a social worker in the Connections program at Shadow Mountain High School. She was nominated by her colleague, Miss Joyce Walls, from Shadow Mountain. Before I jump into the beautiful words that Miss Walls shared about Miss Chait, I wanted to say this was one of the most fun awards I've ever done. Not only did I get to crash a staff meeting and celebrate them with the adults, I headed back the next day and joined the Connections students and all of the Connections staff for Fun Friday, and I brought some cookies and treats, and it was a lovely way to send us off into the weekend. From Miss Walls, Leticia embodies the essence of dedication, compassion, and tireless advocacy as the Connections social worker at Shadow Mountain. Her commitment extends beyond just serving our students. She actively engages with their families, ensuring they receive the support they need, whether that is securing food, arranging counseling, providing crisis intervention, or acting as a neutral party. Leticia is a lifeline for those who need it most. She also serves as a critical liaison to the community, leveraging resources to assist our most vulnerable students. Her involvement with the crisis team is pivotal, addressing the needs of teens at risk of harming themselves or others. On scorching days when the temperature approaches triple digits, it's not uncommon to find Leticia walking down Shea or 32nd Street looking for a student who may have eloped, often wearing cute shoes unsuitable for pursuit. Despite the discomfort, Leticia's commitment never wavers, and she finds a way to bring our students back safely. As the IDL, or Instructional Department Leader, Leticia is a calm, reasonable voice that supports and mediates among staff, ensuring that we remain respectful, collaborative, and effective. Her influence extends beyond our department, as general education, structured, and LFI teachers constantly seek her guidance for their most challenging cases. In all of her efforts, I have never known Leticia to fail anyone. Leticia's unwavering commitment to putting students first inspires the Connections team to be our best so we can do the same for our students. Her impact is profound and far-reaching, making her an exemplary candidate for the Props Award. Congratulations, Leticia.
Next is the Paradise Valley Education Support Professional of the Month. PVSEA President Ms. Michelle Courtwright is here to make the presentation.
President Greenberg, excuse me, Governing Board, Dr. Reynolds, and Cabinet. My name is Michelle Courtwright, and I am the president of the Paradise Valley Support Employees Association. And this is one of the highlights of what I get to do. This month, we are recognizing Janae Santiago. She is a campus support employee over at Boulder Creek. And many people wonder, what is a campus support employee? Well, we've been called duty aides, crossing guards, clerical, office, and we do all of those things. As things have been cut, we wear many hats, and Janae wears quite a few of them. From what I understand, she is wonderful with helping manage requisitions and purchases. She is very efficient, she works on time, she checks with people, but when she's not doing that, you can find her on a playground, in a cafeteria, before and after school. Anywhere that they need a little bit of extra help, she is there. And every single letter used the same word: positive, joyful, and flexible. And in this day and age, we need people that when they show up that day and you say, hey, I need you to go down this hallway, they do. Every student on that campus loves when they see her. And from what I understand, every adult is very excited when they get to work with Janae. So it is with great honor that we present our monthly award to Janae Santiago.
I blew the last one. You're going to have to come back up. But one thing we do, if you would like to introduce any family or friends that you have, and so that we can recognize them as well. Gee, okay.
So, I have my family here. Support specialist is Shadow Mountain. So from my Shadow Mountain family, Miss Anna, and her intern is also here. Paul, our English teacher in the Connections program. Grace Benjamin, one of our math teachers at Shadow Mountain. Mr. Bowen, one of our paraprofessionals who just left us, but he is here to support me, so I'm so happy to see here. And Ms. Jessica Cochran, another one of our paraprofessionals here. And Ms. Glenn Nichols, who was with us last year at Connections, which is now graduated with. She's here to support us.
I'm here with my husband, my 4 children that I contributed to Paradise Valley. One that graduated already and 3 more coming up, and my lovely principal and assistant principal, Ms. Jamie Robertson and Jenna Lee, and 2 of my colleagues, Vanessa and Jenny Sage. Missy Martin actually was the assistant principal when I first started, so she's here too. But thank you.
Our last recognition of the evening is the Superintendent's Distinguished Service Award, for which I will turn it over to Dr. Reynolds.
Thank you very much. One of the just absolute joys of being the superintendent is to be able to present this award. It is one of the most prestigious awards that we have in our school district. And tonight, on behalf of all the superintendents that our 2 exiting governing board members have worked with, I would like to present the Superintendent's Distinguished Service Awards to Ms. Carrie Baker and Ms. Nancy Case. But before they come to pick up their awards, we have a guest speaker who came this evening. Who would like to say a few words. Dr. Sue Skidmore, former governing board member.
Well, greetings of the season, Mrs. Uh, oh, President Greenberg. I better put my glasses on. Members of the board, Dr. Reynolds, cabinet, thank you all for allowing me to speak. Mrs. Baker, thank you very much for your service. But with all due respect, Mrs. Case, this one's for you. Congratulations, Nancy dear. You survived for 20 years through times when things were really swell and times when things weren't going well. With enrollment drops and budget woes, when COVID dealt an awful blow. Reading and phonics were your passion, and you stuck on that in Nancy fashion. Your faith in public schools called you to serve. You ran the course without reserve, except for the times when your knee gave out or when your foot got the gout or when you had some to be somewhere or when you had to dye your hair. Yet whenever someone deserved an honor, you were the one to do the flowers. Now, what's next for you, I do not know. You've 32 grandkids in tow. Along your new retirement way, I'm sure that they'll have lots to say, as do I. I must ask, when will I get my pajama pants? Now, one last thing before I quit, and Deanne signals me to sit. Folks have wondered why you're so nice, and you, like me, the queen of spice. The time is now, and I shall share. We forged a bond that's kind of rare. We never wavered, we never hid. Our priority was, is it good for kids? So to Mrs. Case, I bid Godspeed, for you have earned it indeed.
If you know Dr. Skidmore, that was a risk. Like I said, this award is one of the most prestigious award. From a superintendent's perspective, it is the most prestigious award that one of our community members can get. It is given out rarely, but tonight I think most appropriately to these two outstanding community members who have dedicated not just 2 years or 20 years, but really a career of families, right, to public education. And on behalf of the district, we also want to say thank you to both of your families for the sacrifices that they have made over the last 2 and 20 years. When you choose to run for the governing board, volunteer for the governing board, your whole family, right, your friends choose to do that with you. And so, again, on behalf of the superintendents that you have worked with, I would like to say thank you very, very much. We have a small token of our appreciation for Ms. Carrie Baker. And a special award for Ms. Nancy Case, who loves flower arrangements and flowers. And so we bought you I was told it's a vase for your award. So please come up. And I would also like to invite the entire governing board to come up and take the picture with us. This is
And that, President Greenberg, is the conclusion of tonight's awards and recognitions.
So yes, we actually still have a little bit of business here. And next on the agenda is items for approval. Agenda items G1 through G5 are recommend. Oh, I'm sorry. I went all the way down here. Superintendent comments, Dr. Reynolds.
Prior to getting to the business, so tonight, I would also like to welcome our governing board members-elect, Ms. Jessica Wani and Dr. Amanda Lim, who will join the PV Schools Governing Board in January. Also, welcome back President Ann Greenberg, who will also be serving another term. I look forward to working with the board to advance our district's goals and continue to providing an unparalleled educational experience for our students. In PV Schools, we engage, inspire, and nurture students through high-quality education, instruction, and meaningful opportunities, and dynamic learning experiences. These experiences lead to some pretty amazing things. One that I'd like to highlight this evening is an accomplishment of one of our high schools. I want to congratulate Pinnacle High School for earning the College Board's AP School Honor Roll recognition for the 23-24 school year, and for earning the 2024 AP Access Award. The Pioneers earned bronze for developing an AP program that creates a college-going culture and gives students opportunities to earn college credit while maximizing their college outcomes. Pinnacle High School is also honored with the 2024 AP Access Award for ensuring AP coursework is equally available to students no matter their background. Tonight, I'd also like to congratulate our elementary and middle schools that have been recognized as some of the best public schools in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. The rankings are based on student performance on standardized tests across 4 key indicators. These rankings highlight the exceptional efforts of students, staff, teachers, as well as their dedication to academic achievement. So congratulations to those schools. And I'd also like to remind the community the annual Sounds of the Season event is this Saturday, December 14th from 9:30 to 4 p.m. at Desert Ridge Marketplace. Make sure to come out and support our performing arts students. It's an amazing event. I encourage you all to attend. And finally, as winter break approaches, I want to extend my gratitude to our amazing students, staff, families, and community, our parents, for another successful year in Paradise. In 2024, we celebrated incredible achievements made by students and staff, from academic excellence to athletic victories and accolades in fine arts and much, much more. We have so much to boast about, and I'm incredibly proud of our collective efforts, and wish everyone a restful, happy, and healthy holiday season. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. My apologies for stepping on that a little bit.
That's all
So
right.
now, next on our agenda is items for approval. Agenda items G1 through G5 are recommended policy revisions, and I will turn it over to Dr. Reynolds to bring them forth.
Thank you to President Greenberg. Our first read was last time, and so we will stand for any questions or comments based on, I believe we're going to take all of those at once. Is that right, President Greenberg?
So we have all of those. And I don't think there were nobody asked any questions after last time. So Mrs. Baker, may I please have a motion to approve the policy revisions as a single motion for G1 through G5 as presented?
So moved.
Does any board member have any comments or questions regarding any of the revised policy recommendations? I can't see the flowers. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next on our agenda is public hearing for fiscal year 2024-2025 school district annual budget revision number 1, followed by consideration approval of the fiscal year 2024-2025 school district annual budget revision number 1. Mrs. Berrigan.
Thank you, President Greenberg, Governing Board, and Dr. Reynolds. This is just a quick budget revision for, thank you, the first budget revision of the year, which we're required to do if we have a difference of 1% or $5,000, the lesser of those two. So you see this with us annually, we will always have a difference of that amount. I'm just going to quickly go over the M&O, maintenance and operation, and district additional assistance differences, why there are differences, some changes to average daily membership, and then how those impact the budget. With our maintenance and operation budget, which we adopted in June of 2024 compared to the December revision, there is just under a $5.7 million difference, a decrease, and then the unrestricted capital is a little bit more than $45,000 decrease. Those are decreases we expected. As a reminder, when we adopt the M&O budget in particular, we adopt it at a higher ADM than expected so that if there for some reason was growth or higher ADM than we expected, we wouldn't lose out on that budget capacity for the M&O override when we adopt that. So we always know and we will always see that there'll be a decrease in the M&O budget in this time of year. And as a reminder, or for those of us who are new board members, those of you who are new board members, ADM isn't finalized until later on in the subsequent fiscal year. So last year's ADM, last year's average daily membership wasn't finalized until November of this year, just last month. So there's always continuous changes to ADM, even after our year and our budgets are closed and have been finalized back in May of this year. The M&O carry forward decreased from $19 million. That was the estimate that we had when we were closing out the year, down to the $17.4 million, again expected as the encumbrances close out between the July and August timeframe. And just as a reminder, these are really just changes to these budget forms that are required for us to do with ADE. We have a budget that we account for that you see when I present, for example, at the board study session. That's where our real budget work is done, and that's what's presented to the governing board throughout the winter and springtime frame along with our bargaining groups. But we have actual forms that have to be submitted, and our May budget revision is really the final picture for the year for what our budget capacity looks like. And then remember, we do the AFR, the annual financial report, the reporting of all of our expenditures in October, which we did this last October. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have for the December budget revision. Just remember, we'll have another one in May. Our final one will be in May.
Thank you, Mrs. Berrigan. Mrs. Baker, may I please have a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024-2025 school district annual budget revision number 1 as presented?
So moved.
Does any board member have any comments or questions?
I just have.
Mrs. Baker?
Thank you, Ms. Berrigan. I'm really going to miss the explanations that you do. And so thank you for this one last budget update that I get.
You're welcome. And you can always tune in and listen to them.
Yeah, I can. Yep, sure.
Mrs. Case?
I've listened to lots of people in our district for finance, and you make the most sense of any of them.
Thank you.
And you bring it to a level that I begin to understand the finance. Finance is not my thing, but you make it so that it's understandable. And I really, really have appreciated what you do. Somehow I wish we could change our numbers upward in a positive way, but you're not a magician. You tell
Not.
the facts. So I appreciate the way you explain things, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Case. Anybody else? Mrs. Christensen?
So, thank you, Mrs. Bergen, for always doing your magic with our numbers on the budget. I was listening to Sue Skidmore's comments, and we are a very different district than 20 years ago, and we really, I would really like to see us as a district do more to, I know a budget means living within our means, and it's hard to control decline in enrollment, but I think there's a lot of things that the board can do to help with that. I know Matt does a great job of highlighting our amazing programs and, focusing on our different academic programs. The STEAM programs that we have are amazing, and which includes our arts. And I know we're coming into bargaining, and it's always hard to cut anything from our budget. But I just feel we really need to find more creative ways to bring costs down and revenue up. Revenue meaning attract kids back to our district, focusing on academic excellence and achievement. I found out recently that we have I wrote it down because I don't want to get the name wrong, a Center for Teacher Development, which I think is phenomenal. Maybe utilizing CTD to have more experienced teachers mentor some of the other ones rather than going out of state for training. I just think that this board can really find creative ways to curb spending and increase enrollment. This trend is concerning. I know Roosevelt just closed 5 schools as well. So we cannot continue to spend and do things as we have been or as we did 20 years ago. We're going to all have to find ways to change because we all know the definition of insanity. So we have to find new and creative ways. And I'm not criticizing the budget and what you've done. I'm just I want to see this district succeed. I want to see us do well. And, the stories that Nancy mentioned about the wonderful educators we have. We figure out how to put more dollars in the classroom, money in their pockets. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but yeah, I want to do better. And so I'm hoping that this new board next year can really help us make some creative decisions and just continue to make this district great.
Thank you, Mrs. Christensen. Does anybody else have any other comments or questions? Seeing none, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is acceptance of gifts and donations, and we had several this time, and we had many that were very large dollar, and I'd like to acknowledge some. Dorito Partners gave $1,000 to Echo Mountain Intermediate School for prizes for the school Being Kind store. At Horizon High School, Cardinal Charities provided $2,000 to the football program, and Justin's provided $2,000 for gifts and donations, which included food. At North Ranch Elementary, the Parent Teacher Association donated $2,320 for field trips for grades kindergarten, first, and third. At Pinnacle, Justin's gave $2,000 for awards, gifts, staff shirts, food, beverage, and substitutes. At Shadow, they did the same, another $2,000. And also at Shadow, Odyssey Operations provided $1,000 to the choir program for a variety of items, including food. The Sonoran Sky PTO gave Sonoran Sky Elementary a little bit over $2,300 for a laminator for the library. And the Peter R. Marsh Foundation gave the school $1,550 as a music grant, with most going for supplies and some going for transportation. So once again, we thank all of the donors. If any of you who I just mentioned are here, thank you very much. Or if you know anybody who we just mentioned, please pass it on. And Mrs. Baker, may I have a motion to accept gifts and donations, please?
So moved.
Does anybody have any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The motion passes unanimously. Next on the agenda is call to the public, so I'd ask that you please turn your attention to the video monitors.
Call to the Public is about to convene. This portion of today's meeting allows the public the opportunity to address the governing board. Although state law does not require that the governing board hold a call to the public, the Paradise Valley Unified School District and its board have chosen to do so because we believe it's important to hear about concerns and issues from our community. While Call to the Public is not designed to be a discussion, the board is here to listen. Due to Arizona open meeting law, the governing board cannot respond to, discuss, or take any action on items brought up during this time. However, staff members may be directed to get back to you and address individual concerns. As a reminder, the point of this and every board meeting is to accomplish the business at hand, and to be able to do so in an open and collaborative way. All in attendance are expected to observe meeting rules, as well as rules of politeness and decorum, so that we may serve as an example to our students that issues can be discussed in a respectful and civil manner.
Thank you. Tonight we have one person who has submitted a comment card, and so she will get 3 minutes for remarks. As a reminder, we ask that you please direct your comments to the board, and please state your first and last name when you come to the podium. Our speaker tonight is Krista Hall.
Hi, I'm Krista Hall, and I have contributed 3 kids to the district. I'm here to talk about the ongoing issue with the lack of our 4th grade Spanish teacher at Sandpiper Elementary. But first, I want to thank Dr. Lindsay and Natalie and Terry in Community Ed for their assisting on the onboarding of a Spanish tutor. I really am thankful that we got her onboarded and that we're able to offer this assistance to our 4th grade kids. I would like to ask the district to pay for 5 weeks of tutoring for these kids. At the minimum, I would like the fee for renting the space at our school to be waived so we can offer the tutoring to these kids. Secondly, I would like to know what follow-up we are having with the visa candidate that has accepted this position. Are we checking in with her on a weekly basis? When are we expecting her arrival? And what can we do to support her when she gets here? Finally, I want to ask the board to think about what can be done in the future so our school will not have to deal with a whole semester without a permanent Spanish teacher. And finally, I want to look forward to welcoming Matilda at our school. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no items for discussion this evening, and so we have reached the end of our meeting. Before we adjourn, I'd like to remind you that the next regular board meeting will be held on Thursday, January 16, 2025 at 6:30. I'd also like to wish everybody an incredibly happy winter break, and I hope you have a great time with any and all holidays that you celebrate before we reconvene. And with that, Mrs. Baker, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.